great art a long time ago, came to a standstill a long time ago, and seems to produce quite the opposite. It seems to produce quite the opposite. It seems to be a product of a religion that is too rigid for the times that we are living in. It seems to be a product of a religion that teaches to hate women, imprison women, hate dogs. Go down the list. I'm not including women and dogs in the same breath, but it may sound like that. A religion that teaches its followers to invade countries and take it over in a soft jihad. A religion that teaches an Islamo superiority, an Islamic supremacy over all other religions. Not a religion that says get along with your neighbors. It does not preach like the Christians do, love thy neighbor as thyself. It preaches the opposite. It says condemn thy neighbor. Your neighbor is not equal to you. Your neighbor is less than you. You are superior. And if you think that I'm making this up, then take a look at what's going on in neighborhoods in this country and what they're teaching their children, and then look behind the curtain at what the Muslims are doing in prisons in England. It came out just yesterday that the Muslim gangs have taken over prisons in England. The guards are afraid of them, and they're forcing non-Muslim prisoners to pay a what kind of they ever call it, a tax, that if they will not convert to Islam, they force them to pay a tax. That is atheists, Christians, Jews, Hindus, Buddhists, anyone else in prison is told to get their family to send money to the Muslims and kick it over to the Muslim gangs in prison, because that's part of their religion. They believe in this tax. It's in their Bible. Now, I don't understand how the politicians are blind to this. It's in plain black and white. It's for anyone to see and anyone to read. So why would you even take a chance on bringing in such a mass wave, a tsunami like this, to Germany, for example, and a tsunami of this into the United States of America, as Barack Obama wants to do? Why would you take such a chance? This is not logical. This is not logical. Now, one of the reasons there's been no revolution in America about the wave of Spanish-speaking immigrants, there's been a lot of grumbling, a lot of anger, a lot of this, but there's never been a revolution over the Mexicans and Guatemalans and El Salvadorans. Do you know why? Because they are, in a way, very compatible with our country and our values and our mores. You may not know that. They're very family-oriented. They're Christians. They're hard workers, by and large. So, in other words, people will grumble, but they're not that really angry at them. Everyone has open eyes. They know every restaurant they go into, gardeners, who's doing the hard work? You got to be an idiot not to see it. So they say, look, it's too many people, and a lot of them are on welfare, and there's some crime, but what are you going to do right now? They figure, what the heck? But that's not the same with folks of the Islamic persuasion. It's not the same, which is not to say that all of them are potentially a problem. But unfortunately, there seems to be a very high percentage of individuals from that persuasion who are a problem. And there's almost no way to vet them, according to the head of the FBI. So why is Obama so quick to want to bring them all in as fast as possible? Why is he bringing in so many Africans? Why are so many asylees into this country from Africa? What are they bringing to this country that we need? Can anyone explain that? What are they bringing to the nation that we need from Africa? Can anyone explain that to me? Other than a racial change in the country. I'm sorry, it's pretty rough to say that. It's like you're supposed to dance around it. Why is he excluding Europeans who want to emigrate to America? In other words, white people in plain English. And bringing everyone else in. Why? China, Africa, Middle East. Why is he saying Europeans need not apply? Because he's a psycho-racist. I don't think everyone has ever said that. They're afraid to say it. Obama seems to be a psychopathic racist, in my opinion. One of the most psychopathic racists in the history of the American presidency, with a vendetta against the Europeans in this nation, the European Americans in this nation, more particularly. A psycho-racist. Now, before I go any further and get you even more agitated with the truth, because it's only the truth that agitates you, nothing else. So if you listen to talk radio and it goes on and on about baseball or golf, and you're not really getting agitated. It's like background noise. It's just something in the background. But when you hear something that hits you so hard as what I just said, that Barack Obama seems to be a psycho-racist, suddenly you're agitated because you realize I struck a note that's like a bell going off in your head. It's the only explanation for what this man is doing. Now, since we don't know how much is spent on PR to cover up his crimes against his own nation, as I said, we know that the EPA, it was found just last week, spends, I don't know, was it 60 million or 100 million? Robert, look it up. On public relations agents outside of the EPA to spread their lies while they're raping the Treasury. If a single agency is spending a couple of $100 million on public relations agencies, how much do you think the executive office is spending to cover up Obama's crimes against America? $1 billion a year? $500 million a year? $200 million a year? So everything you read, everything you hear about him is always a ha-ha laugh line, good man line, right? When have you last heard or read anything negative about Obama or anything that he's done or said or any of his policies? Maybe never. I'm talking about in the by and large in the media outside of talk radio and the internet. Back in a minute.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Savage.
Your Savage Nation is sponsored by SwissAmerica.com. It's the only company I trust for tangible assets, gold and silver. Call 800-BUICO. Imagine all the music in America dying. Imagine all the art being burned. Just imagine it. Imagine all the pork being banned. Imagine alcohol being banned, because that's what's happening in front of your eyes. That's from the superb refugees and immigrants coming from countries where they do not eat pork, where they will not drink alcohol, where art is considered blasphemy. Do you have any idea what you're doing to your nation? You stupid liberals, you idiots. You have no idea what you're doing to this country with your compassion, do you? And it's not really compassion, is it? It's fear. It's cowardice. It's the unwillingness to stand up for your own nation. It's your actual hatred for America that is showing, not your love for the refugees or the immigrants that your criminal government is flooding into this country. Now you take a look at the propaganda ministry. Here's the New York Post, the once good tabloid, now being run off the rails by the children of Murdoch. The very same children of Murdoch who are ruining the Fox News network with no credibility left whatsoever. We see their biases every day. Look at the headlines. They're not talking about any of these problems. Missing runner found on subway 2 days after marathon. Rhonda Rousey reveals her two big no-nos in bed. Chris Brown allegedly struggling with scissors.
Hey, it's Katie Green.
Without hammering the book, I want to start with the title because it says it all. Government Zero. If we don't see President Zero invoking Government Zero, I'd like to know what it's going to take for the average moron out there. Idiot, moron, fools who have sold the country away, running around in shorts with Halloween costumes with their children on drugs and sugar. And they wonder why these SOBs with that monster tyrant leftist in the White House. This guy is the smartest leftist in the history of the world. This BS artist, Barry from Honolulu, has done more harm to the world than Marx and Lenin put together. And he gets away with it for one reason. He doesn't shout like me. Have you ever heard Barry from Honolulu scream? Never. He is the smoothest con man in the history of the world. He makes Soros look like a chump. Oh, my God. I think I just lost the show. I heard it happen again. Another ISDN schwerp. Am I on the air or not? Yeah, now I'm back on the air. See, I knew something was happening, and they said, oh, no, nothing's happening. I hear it before, and then they say, oh, no, you're not hearing anything. So I don't know if anyone's interfering with my show. I really don't know. Something's wrong. There are things happening that I can't explain. Just remember that the truth is the most powerful ammunition you have. Sliding towards civil war, says Mr. Mueller of the Alternative for Germany party. Bavarian official Peter Dreyer called German Chancellor Angela Merkel to tell her personally that if Germany welcomes 1 million refugees, mainly Syrian males of military age, his town of Landshut will only take in 1,800. Any extra refugees will be put on buses and sent to her chancellery in Berlin. That's what we should be doing with Obama. We should be sending buses to the border, putting the immigrants on buses and send them to Washington. Send them to Sacramento. Make the corrupt governor of California take them in to his chancellery. Under the threat of torture and later under the threat of excommunication, Galileo was forced to recant, to withdraw his statement that the world was round, that the earth revolved around the sun, and that certain other views about the laws of gravity were not true. Now, all of these scientific ideas, of course, have since been proven to be accurate. We've learned that in grade school. But those ideas were held to be heretical by the church. Did you know that? Did you know that anyone who disagreed with those ideas were considered heretics by the church? The liars in Berlin, the liars in London, the liars in Washington are threatening us with excommunication, imprisonment, if we insist that we have a right to a national identity. If we insist that we as Americans have a right to a borders, language, and culture. Who do they work for then? Well, it's pretty simple. You know, there's no conspiracy here. It's open who they work for. They work for whoever has more money. Whoever has most money owns the politicians. So if you look at the United States of America, it's really simple. Who is on record saying they want no borders? Mark Zuckerberg, a pig who has no limits in his greed. Yes, I'll use the word pig. I don't apply it to police. I apply it to Mark Zuckerberg. I apply it to pigs who are worth hundreds of billions of dollars, have no nationality, no national identity, don't relate as Americans, even though America gave them their fortune, gave them their education, and they hate the country. They would like to dissolve the borders so they can get cheap H-1B visa workers, mainly from India. That's who it is. Those who want cheap labor. That's all it is. It's only about money. And again, take a look at the highway bill. Why is Paul Ryan's first measure of importance highway construction? Paul Ryan, suddenly anointed Speaker of the House of Representatives after the Quisling Boehner is forced out. They said he resigned, but he was forced out because he was turned out for what he was, a Quisling. So they find Paul Ryan, who we know is identical. And what is the first thing Paul Ryan announces today that he's going to do? He's going to push through the highway bill. What? That's the most important thing, is the highway bill, not building a wall with Mexico, not stopping the influx of millions of migrants from Africa into this country. 2 out of 3 immigrants to this country now, asylum seekers, are coming from Africa. We'll put that aside for the moment. So why is Paul Ryan pushing the highway bill? Answer. There used to be a saying that went like this: all roads lead to Rome. Well, what does it have to do with the highway bill? Who builds the roads in America? You know anybody in the highway construction business? I don't know anybody in the highway construction business. This is the greatest boondoggle since the solar scandals about to emerge. The greed, the pork barrel spending, the outright thievery that you will see emerge from the highway bill is something that you will never behold could happen in a fair society. They are raping and pillaging the United States of America as quickly as they can. And they're doing it and getting away with it without any consequences. How are they doing it and getting away with it without any consequences? Because the leader of the left-wing revolution that is now in power, Barry Obama, is the most skilled left-wing orator in modern history, maybe in all of human history. He has done more damage than Karl Marx and Vladimir Lenin together. He is smarter than Marx and Lenin. When have you last seen Barry Obama lose his temper? Never. When have you seen Barry Obama jump up and scream in rage? Never. He is the most silk-smooth con man in the history of the left-wing movement, which is how he gets away with it. Now, combined with that is the very dangerous situation that there is no media. It's been nullified. That's number 2, as you saw clearly with CNBC. You know their own lock, stock, and barrel. That's nothing new to me. 1998, I, Michael Savage, gave a speech before the Commonwealth Club, a very important speech that has long been forgotten. It was entitled, Beware the Government Media Complex. You wouldn't know the speech exists, but I gave it before the Commonwealth Club in 1998. It was when Bill Clinton had taken control of the press. So you have no opposition party, you have no opposition press, and then you have a dictator who's as smooth as silk, pushing an agenda that's beyond comprehension down the throats of the American people who oppose virtually every point of his agenda. Now you say, how do you know they oppose it? Okay, I'll give you a fact. We learned only last week that the EPA, the corrupt Environmental Protection Agency, spends something like, I think it was $60 million, it could be in the hundreds of millions of dollars a year, on public relations work